following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hi, you're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Yo, here we are. Wednesday, the Adventures of Pipeman, right here on W4CY Radio, and I'm very excited this week because A, we had a cool show that we had to cover last weekend. B, I'm leaving early tomorrow morning to go on the PipemanRadio tour, but most importantly, because of our guest today, because she is, in my opinion, an absolute badass that I'm in awe of. But we'll talk about that in a second. First, I want to bring on our pipe nuts. So let's bring from Louisiana in the bayous, the Rebel Meddler. What's up, Rebel?
Hello, everybody.
So, Rebel,
not much.
Did you do any lynchings over the weekend?
Should I have?
I don't know.
Am I behind on my quota or something?
I saw one of your last TikToks, by the way, and that whatever filter you were using, that filter made you look just like the voiceovers you do. So if that's what you were going for, it was perfect.
Wait, which filter was that? I don't recall that one. I like to play with the filters sometimes on TikTok just because they're there.
Well, that's what they're there for. Speaking of filters, let's bring Juan on because he's the one that's going to keep you in line. He's our show filter for you.
There you go.
Okay.
And look at this. Uh-oh. Look, Rebel, are you looking at the screen? You have a fan talking to you. Will you please pay attention to the show?
Thank you, guys. Well, if I could see the screen, that's why I had to look. Hi, thank you.
All right, so, Juan, what do you have to tell us about your shenanigans over the weekend?
My life is pretty boring as always, so there were no shenanigans, just lots of rest, lots of family time. I enjoyed it.
Rebel, what is wrong with this younger generation nowadays? They all act like they're 80 and we act like we're 20. I mean, seriously, my youngest daughter, she's even proud of the fact that her style is like of a grandma. And she definitely is. She's like a total, like, go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, stay home. I think it's because that this new younger generation, they did way more partying as teenagers as us, that they burnt themselves out a lot quicker. That's what I think happened.
Oh, I don't know about all of that because I know how much stuff I did when I was a teenager.
It's nothing compared to what they do today. It's ridiculous, actually. That we're going to have to do another show about that because I'm telling you right now, these kids today, they consume things in their mouth. They don't even think about it. Like, at least you thought about it for a second before you put poison in your mouth or in your lungs. They don't even think about it. It's like
now they're calling it a challenge, and they go on social media and do it just to go viral. Yeah,
and let me ask you a question, Rebel. Did you ever eat a Tide Pod? Proof.
No.
There's my proof.
God, why would you?
But that's my proof. We didn't eat Tide Pods, but this generation does. Okay. So listen, they have no lines. Okay. So we're going to focus on our generation instead because I have a phenomenal guest today. And I love what she's all about. And so Pipe Man's going to be a little under wraps today. It's going to be more like Dean because Pipe Man's not allowed to do the women empowerment stuff. Only Dean. So, but I am in awe of her because she is a champion in so many ways. But our guest, she went from, because of MS, basically being in a wheelchair to, at 60 years old, being a weightlifting champion.
Wow.
Okay. So now, Rebel, anytime you give me excuses in the future of why you can't do your job, I'm going to use this as the example of why there are no excuses.
He acts like I give excuses.
So I also want to say that sometimes when I have guests and I don't want to butcher their name, I'll research other interviews, and not for the interview, only for one part of the interview, the beginning, to make sure I pronounce it properly. So, and so if I pronounce her name wrong right now, it's because every other interview I checked out, this is how it was pronounced. And, I like to be funny about, nobody wants to mess up a name. And you never know. Like, how do you know how I want my name sound? You may say Dean, but I may identify as Dean.
Deanne.
No, not that. That wouldn't be me. But anyway, let's bring her on the show. Stop the shenanigans. Get a little serious, but not too serious. But really, she is so empowering that I think everybody watching and listening, male or female, is gonna get an aha moment. So let's welcome to the show, Kim Rahir.
Hi there. That was perfect. That's exactly how my name is pronounced.
Look at that. See?
Good research. I want to apologize to Rebel right away, because if my story is going to get waved in your face every time you want to, not do something for Dean in the future, I'm totally, not the reason. I don't want to be that.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. It's
So-
okay, but you are inspiring to everybody. Just the little bit that I know about you. I can't wait to learn more.
Yeah,
Thanks.
let's go all the way to the beginning. So, Kim, what's your story?
Well, I was a journalist. I had 3 kids, and we were like foreign correspondents, my husband and I. So we were traveling all the time, moving every 4 years, dragging the 3 kids along. And it was when we were in Berlin, and I was, for once, not working as a freelancer, because he got the jobs and the assignments, and I was the freelancer sort of following along, the wife. And for once I had a job too. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. I've made it. I have a good career, 3 kids, great family. You can really have it all. And then when I was picking up my kids from school one day, I realized that I was seeing double. I mean, it's so hard to describe, but the cars parked in the street, there were 2 of them, and I knew something was wrong. You can sort of, if you have a bit of a backache, you go to bed and think, oh, it's going to be gone tomorrow. You see double, there's something going on in the brain. So went to a hospital and was to spend 6 weeks there. They were looking for what was happening. After 3 weeks, I was paralyzed from the hips downwards. I couldn't wiggle a toe. My kids were pretty small, and I was out from one day to the next. And those were really dark days, actually, because they didn't really know what I had, because my symptoms were all over the place. They have all kinds of syndromes. They were pretty certain it was autoimmune. But, for one syndrome, you have the eyes, and the other syndrome, you have the paralysis. And because I had it all over the place, they didn't know what to call this. And you find yourself at some point thinking, please give me a diagnosis. Please say it's herpes. Please say it's this. But, you're sort of wanting it to be something. And they gave me all kinds of treatments, all kinds of shots and infusions. And one of them must have worked, because I got better. I got the feeling in my legs back. And after 6 weeks, I could leave the hospital. That was just the day before Christmas. I was in a wheelchair. And that was the very first sort of big lesson, I had been out of it from one day to the next. It was Christmas. There was a tree, there were presents, there was food, everything had been prepared, and I hadn't done any of it. So
Mm.
all the women out there who think that the world's going to come to an end when they don't do everything, it's not true. The world keeps on turning. And I think if you look at it in the right way, it's liberating because you don't have to do everything. You can take a break sometimes. And maybe if you take a break on time, you don't have something as drastic happen to you as I had. I got more treatment. I learned to walk again. I felt better. I was told that this was a one-off. It's called a Guillain-Barré, named after two French doctors who discovered it. It was a one-off. It wouldn't come back. And I was happy. I was given a second shot at life, and I was not going to mess that up. And it took about a year. Then I felt my left hand going numb, and I knew from the sensation that something was wrong. And this time they said it was an attack of the immune system on the white matter in the nerves, and that this was MS. And I thought that was like a really low blow after what I had been through. And I had to accept lifelong treatment, even though I fought with the doctor, which he was not used to. Someone talking back, someone asking questions. He was just writing this prescription, wanted to send me on my way. And I said, hang on, can we talk about this? And I asked him so many questions. I didn't want the lifelong treatment because I was losing my power again. I had been like a thing in the hospital. I couldn't even go to the toilet by myself. I didn't want to give my power away again, but I had to accept this. So I asked him if I could exercise because, yes, my left hand is numb to this day, but I could walk. And after my experience in the hospital, I was very grateful for being able to walk and move. And I said, can I exercise? And he said, yeah, you want to be careful, which doesn't mean anything. It just means that I'm a doctor. I don't really know about exercise, so I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to try and scare you just a little bit so you don't do anything crazy. And to this day, I'm very glad that I didn't listen to him. I went to the gym, and I had this weird desire, this very strong desire. I just wanted to become insanely strong. I think it was probably because I wanted to get control back over my body, which had betrayed me just a little bit. And a nurse I talked to who showed me how to inject myself, she told me exercise is good for MS. It makes you fatigue resistant. So I just went for it. And I started lifting heavy shit.
I like how you put that. And so one of my questions is, when you went back to a doctor after living and lifting heavy shit for a while, did you kind of go back and say, I've been lifting this heavy shit and it's been helping me?
I never got the chance. You know why?
You didn't
Remember,
go back to
we
that
were
doctor?
moving. We were moving all the time. So my first illness was in Germany. This diagnosis was in France. And then when I got like really strong and fit and better with every checkup, we were in Spain. And I'm very grateful for this because my Spanish neurologist, after watching me for 3 years, like the checkups took like 2 minutes. There's, you walk back and forth and have this thing with the eyes where you follow his finger with the eyes. And he said, you're fine. You can go. And after 3 years, he said, how do you feel about stopping the treatment? So how do I feel about stopping? Hell yes, I want to stop the treatment.
Yeah.
And that's like 7 years ago. And I haven't had a
Nice.
treatment or a relapse since.
Wow. And I don't know. I attribute it to two things. One, the weightlifting, the strength. B, the mindset. And you now coach women that are, around our stages, not Juan's. He's one of those, goes to bed at 8:00 kind of generations. But seriously though, you help women that are our stages of life to realize that you can basically do whatever you put your mind to it. So let's tell people a little bit about that.
Yes. I'm not claiming that you can cure MS with strength training, but what you're saying about the training and the mindset, that's absolutely exactly to the point, spot on. What most people don't realize is that the training helps you improve the mindset.
Mm,
It is so beneficial for mental health. It's so hard to describe that it works so fast. You walk out of the gym and you feel better. You're confident. You carry yourself differently, like literally. And I think it gave me so much confidence and optimism that it was like, helping each other along, the physical and the mental. And it's something that we love these ideas of mind over matter, right? We
hmm
have this mindset and we're so strong and we believe
Yep.
something and then we get it done. I think there's also a lot of merit in matter over mind. So you
mm,
do things and you create the mindset by doing it, by going into the gym and lifting, you become the person who lifts. The other way around is much harder, I think. If you wait for this epiphany or for this thing to wash over you, like motivation descending upon you from the heavens, you can be sitting forever.
yeah.
By doing small things all every day, that's how you change, and that's what I do with the women I work with. We start with 15 minutes a day, strength training in the comfort of your home. So there's no resistance, no obstacles. You don't have to drive. You don't even have to get changed. You can do it in your pajamas. You can do something right away. You do the small things. You do that daily. And most of them, after 2 weeks, say something like, oh my God, I have so much energy. I feel so much better, so much stronger.
You know, I gotta tell you that one thing I liked about what you said there, people tend to, when they haven't done any kind of exercise, fitness, activity in a while, they tend to overdo it in one day and then they're done. You have to start off slow. I've been guilty of it myself as well. We all are, because we just want to go straight from A to Z, but you got to go through all the letters in between for sure. And you know what you're talking about, like Tony Robbins always talks about, motion creates emotion. And Jim Rohn, his mentor, used to say, people don't understand what the power of the positive mind is and positive thinking. It's not sitting there, and he used to say this, it's not sitting there and saying, there's no weeds in my garden, and just sitting there and saying, there are no weeds, there are no weeds. He says, the weeds will eat your garden. Okay. You have to get down on your hands and knees and pull those weeds. That's the power
Mhm.
of positive thinking, the action. It's not just saying it. I think that's a big fallacy that people think a lot of times is, oh, you just say these things in your mind. No, you have to take action. You can't just say it. But they both feed off of each other. To your point, it goes both ways and they feed off of each other. And when you actually do something, it does give you that sense of accomplishment. It does give you that sense of confidence. And everybody also does have certain things that make them feel a certain way. And I say they should go for it, because if it makes you feel better, that's all that matters. Too many people nowadays are concerned what everybody else thinks, especially with social media, the internet.
Yep.
You know what? At the end of the day, the only person you should care about what they think is you when you look in the mirror. And I think that's something that you help people, especially women in our stage of life, to do. Am I right?
Absolutely. And there's another thing to what you mentioned, about sitting there thinking, the weeds in my garden are going to go away. Um, Very often, when we're not doing what we think we should be doing, or when we're feeling out of sorts, or when we're feeling inadequate, or, say you've gained a few pounds and you think, oh my God, we tend to think there's something wrong with us, with our character. We have no discipline, we have no self-control, and somehow we want to wait for this thing to happen, where one morning we wake up and we say, oh, I'm going to do it today because today I'm in the mood, or whatever it is. And I see all those things, and that's why I always start small with my clients with small actions. I think most of these things are skills. So
Mm.
it's not to do with you being a bad person or a lazy person or an undisciplined person, is especially in our day and age where we have to fight for our right to move and we have to defend ourselves against the onslaught of 24/7 food opportunities. It's skills that we haven't learned. It's not easy. It's not easy to not eat everything that's thrown at you because our brain is still like, like a Neanderthal and thinks, oh, food, we need that.
Mm.
So I think it's
Especially if
skills.
it's chocolate.
Well, that depends. Everybody's got their special
Well,
poison.
that's mine.
Yeah. And if you when you view it as a skill, I think that is so liberating because it's not about your character. It's not about your value or virtue as a person. It's just about learning something small that you can do today that will make you feel better and will make you feel great. I think it takes so much weight and shame and guilt out of the whole equation. It's just a small thing I need to learn. I do it today, I do it again tomorrow, and then I get better and better. And that's how I evolve, and that's how I sort of become the captain of my ship and don't feel like I'm tossed around by moods and weird feelings and of inadequacy and not being good enough.
I'll also add to that, basically there's a lot of mental illness right now, and there's a lot of people that are depressed. And think about it, that 2 years of lockdown, that causes that because being active, doing things like you are coaching people and teaching people to do, on it creates endorphins that makes you feel good. That's why when you walk out of the gym, you feel great. It's what you said, the accomplishment of it, the feeling good about it, but it's also chemical that putting your body in motion like that will create the endorphins and the emotion of a positive, euphoric feeling. We don't need big pharma for a euphoric feeling. We need ourselves and our own bodies.
Absolutely. And you even create neural circuits when you train. And what I always
Mhm.
I always try to explain it like this. When you train in the gym, or I know you don't have to be in the gym, you could be at home and train with the
Mhm,
weight of your own body. But what are you doing? You're overcoming resistance, right?
mhm.
Like the barbell, it's on the floor. It doesn't want to go up because of gravity. So you have to lift it up. You have to overcome that resistance. And I think your brain creates those pathways, and you have, like, literally in your bones and in your fiber the experience that you can overcome resistance. And I think that carries over into other parts of your life because you will not just be like, oh my God, things are not going my way. What am I going to do? You would have like this instinctive memory. Okay, this is not going my way. What can I do to sort of change that? What can I do next? And that's also one of the benefits when you lift. You know that resistance doesn't have to stop you.
Mm. So, Juan, speaking from the younger generation, what are your thoughts about what Kim is saying, and what do you do specifically to get active or make yourself feel better and all that good stuff and stay healthy?
Well, other than obviously having a healthy like food lifestyle type thing, and going to bed at a reasonable hour to get my full 8 hours of sleep. In the mornings I go to the gym before coming to work. So, I'm lifting, I'm doing cardio, I'm doing all these other things. So I'm pretty good at that. Keeping up with my, I guess, like my fitness goals.
Nice.
So, like I've always been good at that. But I do like the idea of like the mind is a powerful tool because, like, if you think about it, right, there's a reason why the placebo effect is so effective,
Mhm.
right? They give you something that you think is going to make you better. You feel better, but they gave you nothing. Like they just gave you the idea of getting better.
It works the other way too. Like, I have so many times in my life seen people like create a panic attack or create anxiety. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think that's what people don't understand. It's that sometimes you either create it or make it worse. Or
Right.
the things we do, that the worrying about everything. You know, and one of my biggest things is people spend so much time worrying about things that may or may not ever happen. You know, and I mean, funny, going back to my daughter, I'm going to tell a story about her for a second. And by the way, Kim, the introduction where they're talking about this is an adult show and blah, blah, blah. That was my daughter doing the voiceover, the one that never heard me curse till she heard me on the air. So
Oh, wow.
she's the
So
one
she was,
doing my disclaimer that I might
yeah,
curse.
amazing. That's so beautiful.
But we did have a scenario one time as a perfect example, because my kids get annoyed with me about when I talk about worry. Okay, and we were playing on a softball team together, and I had coached her for many years, and then she became an adult. So I'm like, come on, we'll go on the same team. And one night after the game, you know, when you're on a softball team, the whole team goes to a restaurant to go have dinner and drinks and what have you after the game. So we left her car over at the field, and we took my car, like, instead of taking separate cars. She was kind of hesitant of leaving her car there. I'm like, don't worry about it. But then when we're at the restaurant, it just pops in her head out of nowhere. Oh my God, we have to leave because they're going to lock my car in, and I'm not going to be able to get it, and it's going to be stuck there all night. And she just goes into that spiral. As you can imagine, there's more to it. And it's just, and I just said to her, I'm like, well, if it's locked up right now, going there is not going to change that. Okay. Second of all, don't worry about it. We'll figure something out. I'm sure there'll be a solution. And at the end of the day, I don't think your car is going to be locked up. You're worrying about something that you don't even know happened, you know?
Hmm.
And I'm like, don't worry about it. No, blah, 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 blah. No, da, 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 da. And I was like, I'm telling you, either way, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy yourself, because what's going to end up happening is we'll leave. We'll both be upset. We'll get back there. Your car will be fine. You'll drive away and you'll go home, and we'll have missed out on this time. And so begrudgingly, she stayed, but, you know, was worrying the whole time. And what happened after dinner? We got back there. The gate was open. She got in her car and she drove home.
Yeah, worrying about stuff that hasn't even happened. I think it's a perfect recipe for being unhappy. I
Mm-hmm.
also think because every emotion has like a chemical effect in your
Mm-hmm.
body, and I think some people are kind of worry junkies because it
Yeah.
creates
Yeah.
adrenaline, it creates cortisol, and once you get used to a certain level of those in your blood, when you don't feel them, you think something is missing, or maybe you get worried because you think, oh, if I'm not worried, maybe I'm sort of being oblivious and danger is lurking somewhere and I'm not worried enough. And you become like really a worry junkie and need that level of those chemicals in your body to feel normal, just normal. And I think it keeps you from enjoying life, and it also impairs your judgment, I'm pretty certain.
Absolutely. So, Kim, how do people get a hold of you, connect with you? Give them all your details of every way they can reach out to you, and what kind of things that you can offer for them.
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is kimrahir.com. So it's just my name with .com. And the first thing that you can do on there is take a free health and strength assessment. It's about what you said before. You know, we want to go from A to Z. When we have some mileage in our joints, we're not like 20 anymore, and we want to start training and working out, we need to know where we are. You know,
I'm
everybody has a
certainly
different.
not 20 anymore. I'm 26 this
Yeah.
year. I'm 26 this
So,
year.
your mobility, your strength, and how are you coping in everyday life? I have a free assessment on there that you can take so you know what your starting point is. And, when you fill that in, I will give you some pointers on what you can actually start doing right now. What will be the right way to act for you? You can also book a call with me there if you would like me, to build a nice training and eating program for you to become super awesome. And you can follow me with my name too on Instagram and on Facebook. And I share a lot of stuff there about mindset, muscle, and my own weightlifting adventures too.
Ooh. What's your favorite weightlifting story?
Oh, my favorite weightlifting story is it's happened like twice, I think. When you go out on that platform and you lift, you have 3 attempts for each lift. Olympic weightlifting is two lifts. One is the snatch, you lift the bar overhead in one go, and the other one is a clean and jerk. So you put the bar on the shoulders first, and then you lift it overhead from there. And I remember twice when I had failed the first 2 snatches. So there's just one attempt left, and the pressure is,
Mhm.
immense. You don't want to bomb, do you? I mean, it happens to people, and even in the Olympics now, I saw like the best weightlifters in the world, and they were bombing.
Mm.
So when I managed after 2 failed lifts to reset, go out there and make the last lift, for me, no matter what the end result of the competition, for me that is such a huge, huge win, because it's this idea of forget what happened, forget what's going to happen. It's just now, here and now. Reset, refocus, and only this very moment counts. Nothing else counts. When I manage to do that in such a high pressure environment, I'm always quite proud of myself.
Nice. I love that. And what would you say would be one of your greatest stories about somebody you've worked with?
Oh, it's my very favorite story is actually a lady who's now 71. She came to me when she was 68, I think, and she was miserable because she was in pain all the time. She felt stiff. She got out of bed with a cane, with a stick in the morning because she couldn't get up. And we started very gently with my method, 15 minutes a day. And yes, it took about a year, but after a year, she had lost 25 pounds and she went horseback riding.
Wow.
And she shared photos of her on horseback in a beautiful English countryside landscape. And that always moves my heart so much, because she really, she says, I feel like myself again. You gave me my life back. It was her dream to go horseback riding again when she joined me. And it was, like totally unimaginable. But she was very
Wow.
consistent, and she kept showing up, and she got there. And this is one of my absolute favorite stories.
Wow. That is pretty cool. That's very cool. So, Rebel, what do you people in Louisiana do to stay healthy?
Um, we eat.
I don't know. I've seen the food you guys have there. I wouldn't call that healthy.
Well,
Like I eat healthy, and we have this place called Voodoo Bayou down the street from us here,
Mhm.
and it is Louisiana Cajun. There's not one thing I can find in that menu that won't kill me.
Well, you just have to watch what you do. I live in the most amazing place to eat. So it's aside from its architecture, eating is the thing.
So, what is the healthiest thing that you eat, Rebel?
Me?
Yeah,
Please.
you.
You act like I eat healthy. Do you see me? Really?
Well,
No. Broccoli. Corn. I don't know. Broccoli, corn.
So corn,
That's
that's the one that you're going to put on your healthy list there.
She's starting to describe like a broil, like a seafood broil.
Well, it's a plant.
Well,
corn.
you guys
You take the corn on a cob and you put it on the grill and you cook it and you eat it.
Nice.
Grilled corn. It's good.
There's a reason. There's a reason it comes out the same shape it went in, because your body's not using any of it.
Well, they say that, but if you look it up, see, I was under the impression that corn had no nutritional value, but that's not true because we looked it up this weekend. And if you
You're
look
right.
it up, it actually does have nutritional value, and it's fiber, and it grabs all, the stuff that may be stuck in there and helps it move along. So,
Well,
Well,
there's a
looked it up.
bonus.
I just looked it up and it says it's high in carbohydrates and fiber.
Yeah, the fiber's good. The carbs, not so much. But
your body needs carbs.
I just had some corn for lunch, so I'm just busting your chops. But but no, the carbs thing, I always used to think that way too, and then I got diabetes. But I reversed Kim doesn't even know this. I reversed diabetes 6 months with just food, no meds. Never have taken a med. Will never take a med. And you learn a lot too. That's the other thing. That's why you need to hire a coach like Kim, because there's two reasons you need to hire a coach like Kim. One is because you need to really find out what works for you, because there's no cookie cutter thing out there, and trust me, from somebody, I have a naturopath that I use. I have people that are professionals. I don't just rely on myself, but I do my own homework, and I am my own advocate. And you can test and see certain things, what work, what don't work, but a coach can help guide you in the right direction. Because fact of the matter is, just the same conversation we're having here right now, Rebel, shows why people need a coach. Because people that live in Louisiana and they eat all that good food, they need somebody to guide them to stay alive. Because well, food can kill you. That's the point.
Moderation.
and it can help you. But if you're eating everything fried,
oh no,
yeah, that's very Louisiana, isn't it? Those boudoir balls, or what is it? The boudoir balls, or whatever they are.
Boudin.
The boudin balls. The boudin balls. I wouldn't exactly call that healthy. But what I'm saying is that seriously though, I had somebody that guided me. I would have never been able to reverse the diabetes on my own. Okay. Because after you start learning about this stuff, you read the labels, especially here in America. Kim's so lucky to be in Europe, because we just have poison in our food over here. It blows my mind. You can have the exact same product here and in Europe, and they have totally different ingredients and a lot less of them, and even the bad stuff like Cocoa Puffs. I love Cocoa Puffs. I can't eat Cocoa Puffs in the United States because they have 58 grams of sugar and 10 different chemicals, and you can't even pronounce most of the things that are in it. In the Netherlands, when I was living there for 2 months, their Cocoa Puffs had 3 ingredients and 3 grams of sugar. And it tasted just fine to me, and I could eat it. You'd be amazed at what they put junk into. Why do we're talking about vegetables. Why do they put sugar in frozen broccoli? That's what I'd like to know.
Because it causes a reaction in your gut, and it makes your brain want more of it. That's why they put sugar into savory food. You don't even taste it, but your brain reacts. So it's really so engineered, and it appeals to, the basic reactions that we've had for thousands and thousands of years, because they helped us survive. They helped us eat energy dense food. They helped us eat food that had tons of calories because we needed those. They were scarce at the time. And now we have the same reactions, the same instincts, but it's killing us. It's like you're saying, some people call this an evolutionary trap, actually, because we evolved to have certain functions and reactions, and the way the world is now makes it that this becomes outright dangerous for us, because we will overeat, we will not move, and we will sort of let our bodies go to waste like that.
And, listen, I believe that if people have somebody like you that can guide them, that they can live a much better life. Because listen, I don't eat the way I do now because I want to live longer. That's not the reason. I do what I do now because I want to do all the things I enjoy doing, like surfing, skateboarding, traveling. The list could go on and on. And so to me, it's about quality of life. And if people start thinking that way, because I'm not really scared of death, I'm scared of living a death, and listen, I've had a couple things, as we all know. And my thing is, you know what? I'm going to live the life I'm used to living no matter what health conditions there are. So then I need to make other adjustments in life. And when you need to make those other adjustments, you do need a coach like Kim, because you need somebody to be accountable to as well. And so, because that makes you accountable and you to continue. And I just find it, even like if I go to a gym and I use a trainer, I think it's much easier. I think it's much easier when somebody's sitting there. And even the thought of, for somebody like me, let's say they say do 10 reps. Well, I'm going to do 10 reps because they told me to do it, and I'm going to make sure I achieve that goal. But if it was just me there, I might at the 5th rep be like, okay, that was enough. I don't want to do another one,
Yeah.
But I would be worried if I had a coach that how they would think about it. So I would just do the 10. There's just so many reasons that it is always beneficial to have a coach. And like I was saying before, let's talk about the negative thing. And I hate to say it, but somebody we love dearly that was part of this network is not with us anymore because of doing things a natural way without a coach. Because you know what? Doing healthy things, if it's done the wrong way, it can be detrimental to your health. So if you are somebody like me who had diabetes and I decided to go into a juicing program, that would probably kill me because that would elevate my sugar. Now, I think I'm doing something healthy, but I didn't have somebody to tell me, hey, you have diabetes, you can't juice. And so, there's just many good reasons, and there's, that you shouldn't be on this journey alone. And that's where Kim can help you. So why don't you tell everybody once again how they can best reach out to you, and even just to have a conversation to see if you guys have chemistry to where you can help them and work with them.
Absolutely. So it's kimrahir.com is my website, and you can find me with my name on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm happy to have a messenger conversation about where you're at now, what you want to achieve, what your obstacles are. And I think it's really, what you said is really great, because these things are skills, as I said before. And you wouldn't go, to have a driving instructor when you learn driving, and now to eat and train right for your personal situation, because health is relative. What's healthy for you is not healthy for someone else, exactly as you described. Those are all skills. And why don't you want a professional to show you that skill instead of losing a lot of time and energy trying it on your own? So I totally agree with what you said.
And I told Kim before the show, okay, you're going to be on for 15 minutes. And I've kept her on a lot longer because this is so important and it's so helpful. And so everybody needs to reach out to Kim or tell a friend or what have you. And now we're going to talk about what else is healthy for the Pipe Man, and that is the PipemanRadio tour. And so last weekend, okay, so here's my adventures last weekend. I have to do like the short story version. Okay. I went surfing, speaking about active and health and stuff. Like, I went surfing. The place I went is about 2 hours north of here. Okay. Went up to Sebastian Inlet, went surfing up there for like 5 hours. Okay. And normally after you're surfing for 5 hours, first of all, when you're going that long, you're ultra tired. I don't care who you are. And you usually just want to go home and gel and take a shower and just chill out. That's not the pipe man. Pipe man gets out of the water, gets a phone call. Hey, need to go to the West Palm Beach Amphitheater, the I Think Financial Amphitheater here, because Megadeth, Mudvayne, and All That Remains is playing, and there's a ticket waiting for you at the venue. Doors were at 6:30. It was 4:25 when I got that phone call, and I had just gotten out of water in Sebastian. So I did not go home. I did not shower. I did not rest. I did not even eat, but I knew there was going to be like a healthy place to eat at the amphitheater, so I wasn't worried there. And I drove 2 hours straight to cover that show. Not dressed like I should for that show. I was dressed like I just went surfing. And I think, okay, I wiped out on a wave, okay, and don't tell anybody, but I think the whole time I was at the show, I had sand in my butt, okay, but don't tell anybody.
Oh, nice to know. That must have been gritty.
Yeah, well, you know,
Is that what they call TMI?
It might be, but don't tell anybody because it is TMI, okay? And
Just
what are you talking about? I'm just telling you guys.
no, we're live on the air. You just told the whole world.
Oh, well, I guess the cat's out of the bag. You can tell anybody you want now. I didn't know that. Juan, I thought you had our mics off. Okay.
No, I asked everyone to cover their ears while you talked, so we're good.
So now tomorrow morning, I have to get up at the butt crack of dawn. You know, got do that segue. And I got to get to Fort Lauderdale Airport. I have to be there by 7:05. It's about an hour, 15 minutes away from me. And then I'll be going off to Oklahoma. You know, never in my life, okay, this New York, New Jersey Italian Jew never thought he'd say he'd be excited to go to Oklahoma, okay? But I am excited to go to Oklahoma, okay? Because in Oklahoma, there's only one thing worth going to Oklahoma for, and that's Rocklahoma.
Rocklahoma!
Yeah, and Juan, can you cue up the commercial, please? Because guess what?
Sure.
I have 2 more passes for Rocklahoma that just surprisingly appeared today. And so anybody that contacts me on my socials, PipemanRadio anywhere, you contact me, direct message me. I'll meet you at the venue and personally hand you the 2 winning wristbands. Okay. Here's what you have to do when you direct message me. You must direct message me the name of my guest today. And that's how you're entered to win. Okay.
With the correct spelling.
With the correct spelling, yes, to prove that you were actually watching the show and not.
That's a high bar.
I know, right? So you don't have to pronounce it, though. That's cool. Just the spelling. Okay, Juan, roll it.
Rocklahoma. America's biggest Labor Day party is back with the loudest lineup yet. This August 30th through September 1st in Pryor, Oklahoma, with, for the first time ever, Avenged Sevenfold, Slipknot, Disturbed, Evanescence, plus a day to remember, Lamb of God, and many more. Passes and camping on sale now at rocklahoma.com, starting at $10 down.
Nice. That's where I'll be. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Is the one festival that I actually camp at. Usually I don't camp, but this festival, first of all, is one of the best camping festivals in the United States. Number one. Number two, there ain't a hotel anywhere, God knows where, near this venue. Okay. But there are things that go on. You're going to want to win tickets. You're going to want to enter the campground. Tomorrow night is the pre-party. All weekend long, I already have 20 interviews lined up, and there's going to be more. So I'm looking to break records here at Rocklahoma this weekend on Labor Day weekend. And then We'll be back next week to recap it and talk about the rest of the Pipeman Radio Tour. Kim, thanks so much for being on and helping the people that you do.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And Rebel, thanks for allowing me to never have to enter Louisiana. And Juan, thanks for keeping my mic on when I'm talking about sand in my butt. Okay. Everybody, tune in every week, 1 p.m. to W4CY Radio, W4CY.com for the Adventures of Pipeman. Roll it, Juan.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.